Hello, welcome to another elementary behavior analysis help video. Today I'm going to be going over functional assessment, and I'm going to do a brief definition of functional assessment, the main functions of behavior, a quick overview of the methods of functional assessment, and then in a second part I'm going to be going over some examples. The definition for functional assessment is the process of gathering information about the antecedents and consequences that are functionally related to the occurrence of a problem behavior, or in other words, a way to identify the function of a behavior. So the main functions of behavior that we're going to look at are social positive reinforcement, social negative reinforcement, automatic positive reinforcement, and automatic negative reinforcement. So as we know from some of our other lessons, positive reinforcement is when something is added to the environment that makes the likelihood of that behavior occurring in the future more likely. And negative reinforcement is when there's something taken away from the environment that increases the likelihood of that behavior occurring in the future. So with social positive reinforcement, we know that something is added to the environment, but in this case, it's going to be something that's added to the environment by another person. So this could be something like attention, access to activities, or access to tangibles. And then social negative reinforcement is going to be similar to that, except that an aversive stimulus is removed by another person. So this could be escape or avoidance of an aversive activity. Automatic positive reinforcement is when there's positive reinforcement that is automatic, or in other words, someone else does not need to be present for this. So this could be something like sensory stimulation. Automatic negative reinforcement is when an aversive stimulus is removed automatically. Again, someone else doesn't need to be present for this. This could be escape or avoidance from pain or an uncomfortable sensation. So the big difference here is that social reinforcement is when somebody else does need to be present, and automatic reinforcement is when somebody else does not need to be present. So the methods of a functional assessment include indirect assessments, direct assessments, and functional analysis. With indirect assessments, this is when the behavior is not observed directly, but rather learned about through things such as interviews and questionnaires. Direct assessments are when the behavior is being observed directly. So this is when someone is keeping track of occurrences of behavior, antecedents, and consequences. This can be done in an ABC observation format. Indirect assessments and direct assessments are considered descriptive assessments because they describe the behavior taking place, but they don't identify a functional relationship. Functional analysis does identify that functional relationship through experimental methods. These methods will show a functional relationship between antecedents and consequences in the target behavior, and these can be done in either exploratory or hypothesis testing. Usually, an ideal method will follow these three methods in this order. So they would start with indirect assessments such as interviews or questionnaires, and then follow up with a direct assessment by observing, and then after that, use the functional analysis to form that functional relationship. Don't forget that functional analysis and functional assessment are not the same thing. The functional analysis, like we described, is the experimental method, whereas functional assessment is the overarching term that encompasses all three of these. In the next video, I'm going to be going over some examples of how we would utilize these concepts.